Do you need help with your OET speaking? Keep watching, because in this video, we're going to look at the OET speaking criteria. Hi, it's Jo here from SLC, and today we've got an extra special guest. It's our OET hero, Femi. We're going to talk about the OET speaking criteria and focus on clear explanations. Let's bring him in. Hello, Femi. How are you?
Hello, Jo.
Are you well?
I'm all right. Yes, I am.
Good. So, thank you for joining me today, Femi. Really appreciate it. What we're going to be doing is just talking a little bit about the speaking.
Okay.
And just a sort of brief overview of the speaking criteria, and we'll be focusing on giving clear explanations. That's something that Alexia tells me you've been working hard on, and how to explain things clearly in an OET role play.
Yeah.
So tell me, Femi, do you remember what you're assessed on in the OET speaking?
Yes.
Tell me.
Yes. I know they do assess me or everyone on two criteria. If I prefer the linguistic and clinical communication, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely correct. Yes. Yeah. And which parts do you find particularly difficult to understand?
Actually, I think I'm coming up gradually. Yeah. I noticed my fluency, like a bit of hesitation. So I think I need to work on that. And again, as you know, I've got a particular pattern of speaking before, like using some slangs that is not, that you find it so difficult to get rid of from your mouth. So I'm trying to work on those ones also to turn it to something more professional. And
absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, because I think, it's finding the balance. You don't want to be too informal and have too many colloquial slang expressions, but you don't want to you still need to use the lay language that the patient's going to understand. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, let's take a brief look. So I'm just going to share my screen here, and we'll just do a quick overview of the criteria and, in a nutshell, what it means. And then we'll look at clear explanations for you. So, yes, you're absolutely right. You're assessed on the linguistic criteria. So this is intelligibility, fluency, appropriateness of language, and resources of grammar and expression. Now, what that basically means is you're easily understood, so you need to speak clearly. Fluency, natural speed, and appropriate hesitation. So you can have some hesitation, just as long as it's not causing a breakdown in communication.
Okay.
Appropriateness of language, language suitable for the context, so professional, and language that the patient can understand. And that sort of includes using the right functional language. So if you're giving advice, make sure you use some phrases to give advice and things like that.
Right.
And then grammar and expression, errors are okay, but as long as they don't change meaning or cause strain. So the other criteria, as we know, as you said, was the clinical communication criteria. Now, this is a lot of criteria here to go through. So we're not going to go through everything in detail. We're going to focus just on two today, but very briefly what they mean. So we've got relationship building, understanding the patient's perspective, structure, information gathering, and information giving. So relationship building is all about understanding where the patient is. So showing empathy, no judgment, not telling them, oh, it's your fault, that's really bad, you have an unhealthy diet, even if it's true, it's about the way that you say it without judgment. Yeah. Understanding the patient's perspective. So the patient's concerns, what particularly concerns you about this? Can you tell me more about your concerns or worries or feelings? Structure, really important. So that's organizing and linking, and that's the whole consultation as well as each individual explanation. And then information gathering is questions, using the right questions, active listening and clarifying things. And of course, information giving is finding out what they know, because that's going to tell you what you need to tell them.
Yes.
Pausing to allow a response, and checking understanding. So we'll look mostly at providing structure and information giving today, because they kind of link well together and they're so important in the OET exam. Before we take a closer look, Femi, tell me, what do you think you should do in order to provide a clear explanation? What kind of things, what are the features of a good explanation, do you think?
What I think I should do is, before I give explanation at all, I need to first of all ask some a question to clarify. I need to ask he or she that if she's all right, if she's okay for me to explain certain stuff for her or not.
Okay, so yeah, so signal or ask if they want an explanation. Yeah. Okay, yeah, absolutely.
Yes, and I will make sure I use an open-ended questions to get some facts from them.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so the next one I think I have on my head now is the use of the signposting. To start with, firstly now, and so to make sure that the information I'm giving is going accordingly, so as not to just muddle up. And as my teacher taught me, we use chunk and check.
Yes.
Yes.
Chunk and check. So yeah, don't speak for hours and hours and hours. Yeah, it's just quite a hard thing to do, I think, because you feel like you need to keep talking and explain. But yeah, you need to, explain 2 or 3 points, stop, pause, and check. Absolutely, Femi. Yes. Okay. Yeah, those are absolutely features of a clear explanation. So let's just have a little look at what I've got here. We'll just review those. So yeah, find out what they already know, or find out if they want to know. Yeah. So find out what they already know and confirm or correct it. Yeah. So what do you know about diabetes? And then you'll be like, that's right, or that's not quite right.
Okay.
Absolutely. Patient-friendly language, so lay terms. Yeah. Absolutely. Chunks, as you said, Femi.
Yeah.
Linkers and signposting language, for sure. This helps structure what you're saying, and it makes it easier for the listener to follow what you're saying. And that's so important in a healthcare situation, as I'm sure you'd agree. Yeah. So obviously chunking and checking, pausing is part of that, because you want to allow the patient to respond if they need to. Otherwise, you just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, and they might have some questions about what you've just said. So that's quite important. Elicit and respond to any concerns as appropriate. How do you feel about that? And then if they're still concerned, you might need to clarify something further. And yeah, check that they understand or that they agree. So, is that clear? Would you like me to go over anything, or are you okay to go ahead with the procedure, or the care needed.
Okay.
And in the clinical communication criteria, in clear explanations, the two ones that you focus on mainly would be these ones here. Yeah. So when you're giving explanations, you are signposting that you're changing your topic. We're going to talk about this. Linking and signposting for sure. And then all these things you need to do. Yeah. What do they already know? Pause and allow them to respond. Encourage them. Check. And discover what further information the patient needs. So let's have a little look at these sentences here. So if we look at these 5 sentences, they're explanations, but they're a little bit too medically. If we take the first one together, we've got jaundice is the yellow discoloration of the skin caused by an accumulation of bilirubin in the tissue. Now, it's quite hard to understand from a patient perspective. How might you change that, Femi, to be a little bit more patient-friendly or easier to understand? Could you think of another way of saying accumulation, for example?
Yeah. I can use like accumulation. I'm trying to use another word that can easily go. I don't want to hesitate too much before I answer this question.
Okay, well, if you can't think of another word, then just use the word that's given. But there is a word that's a little bit more patient-friendly here, and that begins with B. It's build up.
Build up, yeah.
Yeah, so it's caused by a build-up of bilirubin in the tissue. What might you say instead of in the tissue?
We can use in the body system or...
Absolutely. Yeah. Perhaps in your body or something like that. Yeah. So you'd explain jaundice in a simple way. You know, jaundice is when your skin goes a little bit yellow because you have a buildup of a substance called bilirubin in your body. So sometimes you have to use the technical terms. And I think, you know, you might say bilirubin in an explanation. If you have to use the technical term, you can use things like a substance called, yeah, or something called, yeah. So you can use the technical terms if you need to, but explain that it is a technical term by saying something we call bilirubin or a substance called bilirubin. Otherwise, they might get confused and go, Billy, what? Okay. Let's have a look at the next one. So the medication will be administered intravenously. How could you say that a little bit more simply, Femi, do you think?
Yes, the medication will be administered through your vein.
Absolutely. Yep, through your vein. Absolutely. I think that makes much more sense to a patient. Okay, and what about the next one?
Yeah, the doctor will prescribe some oral analgesic. Yeah, the doctor will prescribe some oral painkiller or pain reliever.
Yeah, I think so. Painkillers is understandable to all. Not everybody's heard of the word analgesics. Absolutely. All right. And then we say the wound will need to be sutured.
Yeah, sutured.
Sutured, yeah.
Yes, the wound will be need to be closed.
Yeah. Closed. Yeah.
By using the medical thread. Just
closed, or we can say stitches. Yeah, stitched.
Yeah.
Even I think they're not exactly the same, but I think it's understood by most people that they understand what the procedure would be sewing. Yeah. Okay, and then we've got things like here, eczema is an inflammatory condition which primarily affects the epidermis, causing irritation and itching. Is there anything you would change about that?
Yes, inflammatory. Eczema is an inflammatory condition. Yeah, which primarily affects epidermis. Yeah, which I would like to change the epidermis because epidermis is more of a medical terminologies, and which likely I can say eczema is an inflammatory condition, or is an I still don't know what to use to change this inflammatory, which primarily affects the skin.
Yeah.
Or topmost part of the skin.
I think so. Yeah. The epidermis is the top layer, right? So you could just say skin. I think that's clear enough. Yeah. Inflammatory condition. Yeah, it's okay. I think they would understand inflammatory. Or you could just say something like eczema is an inflammation of the skin.
Yes, that's right.
Shorter. That's okay, great. So yeah, it's important to build up, your bank of phrases to be able to do this and explain it in a way that the patient understands. Yeah. Okay, great. Here are some examples here. So we've got the jaundice. So basically jaundice is caused by a buildup in the body of a substance called bilirubin, and this causes the skin to become yellow. Here, quite similar to yours, we will connect you to a drip, and this will give you the medication. So you said we will administer it or give it to you in your vein. Also fine. I think most people understand the word drip nowadays. Here, the doctor will give you some painkillers. And sutured. I'm afraid you will need to have some stitches. And again here, eczema is a condition which affects the skin. Causing irritation and itching is absolutely fine. There's just another way of saying it here. The skin becomes irritated and itchy. So I'd like to move on to look at signposting and linking. So signposting, as you said, very important. These kinds of phrases might signal that you're about to talk about something different. So let me explain about how to manage the wound, or I'd like to explain what we're going to do now, or I'd like to ask you some questions, or now I'm going to. So it tells the listener what you're going to do so they're prepared. Of course, in explanations, you might want to sequence steps. First we'll do this, then after that, finally. Or occasionally when you're doing giving advice or saying what's a good idea to do at home, for example, you might want to use these phrases. So they're linking phrases of addition. So one thing you could try is this, another thing which might help is this, and it also might be a good idea to do this. And sometimes you need to give the reason for doing things or talk about cause and effect. So for example, and this can lead to shortness of breath, or which might cause pain and discomfort, or this is because, or so that. Yeah. So, really using these phrases in your explanations is really going to help the listener.
Okay.
So we're going to look at explaining a procedure or a medical condition. So we'll just review the steps. So step 1, find out what they know. Step 2 would be signposts that you're going to explain in more detail, maybe. Step 3 is explain using linkers. And rule of 3. This is so that you're chunking and checking. So, explain. Rule of 3 is a good one to go with. So 3 points, stop and check. That way you're not overloading them with information. Okay. So, and then of course, pause and confirm, or encourage them to respond by saying, how do you feel about that? Or do you think you'll be able to manage that? Something like this. So we're going to use these steps now to complete a little text when explaining advice on managing eczema. So imagine you're doing an OET role play, Femi, and part of it is to explain what the mother of a child can do to look after the skin and prevent a flare-up. Okay?
Okay.
So here is the explanation. So we need to follow the steps to complete what the nurse says. So the nurse goes, blah, 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 blah. Patient says, I don't really have any idea and I'm a bit worried. So first thing is find out what they know. So what phrase could we ask here, Femi?
Yeah. Can you tell me what you know about eczema?
Yeah. Okay. Could you tell me what you know about, what you know about eczema? Or, for example, looking after eczema, because this is a particular point in the role play. Managing eczema. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, yep, absolutely. Put it in red. Could you tell me what you know about managing eczema? And the patient says, I don't really have any idea and I'm a bit worried. So the mother's worried. So obviously you respond to that and say that's completely understandable.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what are you going to say here? So I don't think it's a question. I'll just get rid of that.
Okay.
So
I can just say, okay, that is completely understandable. Try not to worry. We are here to help you.
Yeah, try not to worry is okay, but also what do we need to do? We're about to explain it, so we need to do step 2 here.
Okay.
So what we
I'll ask if she's okay for me to explain.
Absolutely, yeah. So what phrase could you use?
Yeah, let me explain. I would like to explain. I'm going to explain. You like to? Yes, I would like to explain. Will you be happy if are you okay if I explain what eczema is?
Yeah. Are you okay if I explain? Well, not what eczema is. Here we're looking at how to manage eczema.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what you can do.
Yeah.
I'd like to explain what you can do.
I'd like to explain what you can do.
If that's okay. Or is it okay if I explain some things to do at home? But yeah, definitely explain. I think the best phrases sometimes for signposting is I would like to or let me. And then just say okay at the end. Yeah. Let me explain a bit more. Okay. Or if that's completely understandable, try not to worry. I'd like to explain a little bit more. Okay.
All right.
And then the patient says thanks. And then we've got this explanation here. So the nurse says, it's really important to keep his skin moisturized. Which might help is making sure he's not too hot and not too cold. Okay? So what linking phrases could be put in those spaces, Femi?
We can use to start with or firstly.
Firstly, okay, yeah. Firstly, it's really important to keep his skin moisturized. Which might help.
I think skin moisturize is full stop, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what could we?
Then can I use another thing which might help?
Absolutely, yeah. Another thing
which might
which might
help.
help is making sure he's not too hot and not too cold.
Okay. And after that, it's good to dress him in loose clothing. Use in loose clothing.
Are you sequencing though?
Yes. Firstly, another thing. So the next one, that's what I'm just trying to divide.
Okay, so we need a linking device of addition here. So
also, can I use also?
Absolutely, yeah, also. Yeah, also, it's a good idea to dress him in loose cotton clothing. The skin can breathe.
So that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we use also in the speaking at the beginning of the sentence, not so appropriate for the writing, but yeah, absolutely use it here. So let's have a little look. So firstly, it's really important to keep his skin moisturized. Another thing which might help is making sure he is not too hot and not too cold, okay? Also, it's a good idea to dress him in loose cotton clothing so that the skin can breathe. Okay, so we've done step 3. We want to do step 4 now. So what phrase could we use at the end here?
Yeah,
to check.
To check. Just to ask her, does she understand? Does she understand all the information that I passed across?
So what phrase would you use?
All right, can I use, do you have any question?
I think so, yeah. So let's see. Do you have any questions about that? Yeah, I think that works. Do you questions about that or about any of that? Yeah, I think that's absolutely something you could use. The other thing you could do is, you know, how do you feel about that? Or do you think you can manage that? Yeah, because we want to check that it's okay. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so if we look at the explanation with the criteria, we now know that, yes, we have signposted a change in topic. Okay, so we've signposted a change in topic here and here. We've used organization techniques in the explanations. Yeah, here, here, here. We've established what the patient already knows here. We've paused when giving information. So we're doing that at the end. Yeah, and also here. We're encouraging the patient to contribute reactions and feelings at the end. We're checking if they understand. Yeah, do you have any questions? And that together is asking what further information they need. Yeah, do you have any questions about that, for example? Does all those things, E4, E3, E4, and E5. Yeah. Okay, so one thing you should do, Femi, is practice this. Yeah, actually pretend there's a patient in front of you. Signpost. Rule of 3, pause and check. That's the key for any explanation. Yeah, so if we go back to the steps just to review that. Yeah, so find out what they know. Signpost, explain, pause and check. Yeah.
Yeah.
So something you can do as part of your self-study, Femi, some homework would be practice these. You can even write them down. So write them down, even mark where you're going to pause would be a good idea. So this would be one to do at home. How to change a simple dressing at home: remove old dressing, clean the wound, apply new dressing, make sure it's secure. Another one that you can practice is what happens during dialysis. Connected to a machine, blood's cleaned, return into the body. Or explaining what jaundice is. Yeah, yellow skin caused by bilirubin, not serious, test needed to determine if treatment is necessary. So have a go at this as part of your self-study this week, Femi,
All
and have a go at practicing it, but using that signpost, linking, pause and check.
right.
All right.
Okay. All right.
And that's it, Femi. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you too, Joe. Thank you so much.
So thanks for watching. We hope you found that useful. If you want more help with the OET speaking criteria, stay tuned for the next set of videos coming up in this season. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you're notified every time we post a new video. Don't forget to check out our website and see how we can help you pass your OET exam. See you next time. Bye.